All right. We are live in 2026.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Gonna
Happy New
wait
Year.
a few.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're gonna wait a couple of minutes for people to join. I hope that you guys had a wonderful holiday and New Year. We certainly did. Did we take 2 weeks off? We took
Well,
2 weeks off from the live stream.
yeah, the 1 week, 2 weeks ago was Christmas Eve, and then the next one was New Year's Eve. And so we had, 2 Wednesdays in a row that we were off, but now we're back.
Yeah.
And I want to welcome everybody. I think that's enough time for folks to start coming in.
I'm gonna start sharing though. I'm gonna share. So let's see how everyone's holiday was
Yeah.
while I do that.
Okay,
Did I cut the music too soon?
No,
It was such an abrupt.
pro.
I'm usually not in charge of the music, and it was just sort of an abrupt. I regret that.
No, it was great. Let's hit it. We got enough people here now loading in. Let's get going. Welcome everyone. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza. We come to you every Wednesday from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and we give you immigration updates, and we also answer your immigration questions. I will warn you, what we do here is not legal advice. It's for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. It is not legal advice. All right.
Why is it not legal advice?
Well, the reason it's not legal advice, number one, we can't give non-clients legal advice. The Virginia State Bar won't allow that. And even if they did allow it, we wouldn't do it anyway, because when you put your questions up here, we're getting just a small snapshot of the issues and facts of your case. It's impossible for us to really, truly deep dive analyze it. And that's what we do with our actual clients, is a much deeper dive to make sure that we aren't missing any detail that's important. And so the questions here, we kind of just see them as pattern questions. We get a lot of questions about, timing. We get questions about travel, these kinds of things. We're not giving you legal advice. We're just giving you general information that involves immigration law. And we know a lot of immigration law.
All right. What's going on, Edison? Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to everyone on TikTok. Hope you guys are getting ready for your questions. We've got,
2026.
Yeah, 2026. New year, new me. New year, new me. Hopefully you guys have some immigration New Year's resolutions. I know there are a lot of you out there who have been meaning to do X. What have you been meaning to do? You've been meaning to file for U.S. citizenship, but you haven't yet. You've been meaning to file that petition for your sibling or your parent or your spouse or one of your children. You haven't done it yet. You've been meaning to renew your DACA. You need to do it, right? So I know a lot of you probably have things that you need to do with regard to immigration, and hit the ground running in 2026, guys, because now is the time. Get in line. Hello, Valen. Happy New Year. Linda, what's going on? Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
Linda says, I'm so out of touch. I don't even have an opinion anymore. I doubt that very much, Miss Linda Carter. I bet you do have an opinion.
Yeah, I want to say hi to everyone on TikTok as well. Folks on TikTok, get your questions in. Happy New Year, Jimmy, and everybody else who's coming in here. Put your questions in quickly, because we take questions in the order that they come in. So first question in is the first question that we get to. It's just like immigration. Right, Linda? Linda knows.
For the most part.
It's just like immigration for the most
part. For the most part. I mean, sometimes immigration skips ahead and jumps over all the people that have been waiting in line. And sometimes we inadvertently do that as well. But I think with USCIS, it's strategic. Anyway.
No, so we try to take questions in the order that they come in. While we're waiting for some of the questions to load up, I did want to talk a little bit. We've been getting a lot of inquiries about denaturalization. We can be a lot of questions about it. We've had some people that are concerned about it. And so we wanted to talk about it just a little bit tonight, just to hopefully set your minds at ease a little bit, I hope. Denaturalization is something that can happen. I'm not saying that it can't. But there are very specific grounds for it to happen, and it still is extremely rare. So if you're out there and you're a U.S. citizen and you naturalized and you're thinking, oh, dang, there's so much stuff going on right now. Should I be worried about getting denaturalized? The answer is probably no. I will start by saying that we've been in practice now for over 25 years, and we have never seen a denaturalization case. So that's something right there, right? I mean,
yeah, it is pretty rare, and it's coming up a lot. It's coming up in the news. So for the month of December, the number one page on our website was about denaturalization, and more people went to the denaturalization page on our website than any other page on the website. So it wasn't like bond hearings or it wasn't naturalization. It was about denaturalization, and we've certainly had former clients contact us and say, hey, what about this whole denaturalization? And we're gonna discuss it a little bit. And Linda, Linda is a friend of ours, and she's a former colleague. She used to work for USCIS for a very long time, and that's how we got to know each other. She is now retired from USCIS. Maybe you can pop in the comments, Linda, whether you have seen a denaturalization case, and maybe if you can, just a hypothetical on how that could happen. But we're going to talk about it here. So.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention is, and just to make clear, is that denaturalization can only occur by a judicial order. So this is not something that immigration can do by itself. What immigration can do is they can flag a case if they think that there's grounds for denaturalization. They can refer it either for a civil case or for a criminal case to the Department of Justice, and then the U.S. attorney who's in the jurisdiction where it's been referred to then has to make a decision on how to proceed. And then they have to file a case in federal court. So this is going to be an actual federal court case. So this is not something that can happen by just, USCIS or the administration just, immediately doing a bunch of denaturalizations. There are very strict standards here that have to be met, and it's going to have to go through a court. So there's always going to be some, filters, some buffers there. One being the fact that you're going to have a U.S. attorney make the decision to go forward with the case. And then, of course, you're going to have an actual trial. So you're going to have either a judge or a jury making a decision as well. If it's a criminal case, it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt standard. That's very high. It's going to be clear and convincing evidence, even for a civil case. And so what I would say, having been a criminal defense lawyer for 20 plus years, in addition to doing immigration, U.S. attorneys don't like to bring cases that they don't think they're going to win. That's a fact. So if there's going to be a denaturalization case that they're going to bring, then they're going to absolutely, truly believe that they have sufficient evidence to do it. Otherwise, they're not going to want to bring the case, because U.S. attorneys hate losing more than just about anything else. All right, that's number one. Of course, you have the layer that there's going to have to be a trial itself. So you're going to have a fact finder who's going to have to find you liable or guilty, one or the other. If it's a criminal case, I should note that that's typically going to be attached to some other criminal charges as well, because in that situation, you're actually talking about, active prison time, up to 25 years, depending on the facts of the case. So, it's very unlikely that a criminal denaturalization case would come by itself. It's not impossible, but it would have to be very egregious. And even for the civil cases, really what they're going to be looking for is if there's sufficient evidence that there has been deliberate deceit on the part of the person. So we're talking about fraud here, misrepresentation. We're talking about material misrepresentation.
Yeah. So sorry for interrupting, but when we're talking about the criminal side of it, we're talking about, like you mentioned, really egregious. So we're talking about things like what?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about somebody who has been engaged in naturalization fraud, perhaps for the purpose of committing some other crime. For example, they know that in order to do concrete or electrical work on a U.S. aircraft carrier, that they can only send a crew of U.S. citizens. What they really want to do is try to get the specs of the ship because they're planning on carrying out a terrorist attack of some sort. And so they deliberately commit naturalization fraud to get U.S. citizenship for somebody whose real job it is to get onto that ship and try to find out more about the inner workings, something like that. Something very egregious. All right. Whereas the civil cases would be more of a situation where somebody, misrepresents something in their naturalization case, either at the hearing or in the written application, something they know is not true. It's a material misrepresentation. And by material, I mean it's a misrepresentation that had immigration known about it, they would not have approved the naturalization. All right. So, you lied about something knowing full well that your lie was going to help you become naturalized when in fact you should not have become naturalized because you weren't actually eligible for it. All right.
I shall give you guys an example of that.
Okay.
Shall I?
Sure.
So one example I can think of that has come up in the context of naturalization applications actually being denied, excuse me, when the immigration officer finds out about it, is if your parents as lawful permanent residents petition for you as an unmarried son or daughter, and you entered the United States as an unmarried son or daughter, but you actually were married before you came to the United States. And therefore, you are not eligible under that category. And so you should have never gotten the permanent resident card in the first place. So when you then down the road, 5 years later, you apply for U.S. citizenship and you've got your husband on the application, like, wait a minute, where does this husband come from? You were supposed to be unmarried, right? If you didn't list the husband or if you didn't name the husband still at naturalization and you became a U.S. citizen, that's a situation where they could potentially, if they wanted to, bring this, bring this to federal court and take your citizenship away. They could do it under those circumstances. And the reason I know about this is we actually had a client who this very thing happened to her at her naturalization interview. Maybe the immigration officer was Linda, who's here on our Facebook page tonight, and she got put into removal proceedings because she lied about her status before coming to the United States as the unmarried daughter of a lawful permanent resident. Now we were able to fix this case because she was eligible for a waiver, and everything was fine. Thankfully, and she would then have to wait 5 years before applying for U.S. citizenship again. So that's one situation where if she had gone all the way through, and if the government really wanted to go after her, and I think that's something that that needs to happen, right? Then she could have gone through that denaturalization process. Now, I know that some of you guys out there are maybe thinking like, OMG. OMG. And, I've done like Filipino immigration webinars before, like Filipino issues with immigration, because this is actually one of them. The secret marriage, right? You are coming to the United States, your parents like, don't get married. And you have your partner in the Philippines and you've got a couple of kids with a partner. And before you're leaving, the partner says, you're going to leave me forever. You're never going to come back for me. Let's have a secret marriage. Right. And then you do it. Right. Of course, you do have a choice. So this is a thing. And some of you out there might be thinking, gosh, I did that, and, maybe I'm a lawful permanent resident now and I did that. What happens if I apply for citizenship? Maybe you're not going to apply. That might be a good idea. I don't know. We'd have to evaluate that. But if you applied and you still continue to misrepresent the fact that you were single when in fact you're married, you could become a naturalized U.S. citizen. And if some of you out there are thinking, yeah, this actually happens to me and I am a naturalized U.S. citizen, you're shaking in your boots right now, right? Every single day when you hear the news about denaturalization, is that going to happen to you? I mean, I don't know. Are they digging that deep into the files? Are they pulling all the files? I don't know what they're doing or how they're trying to determine who to denaturalize. I mean, this is a
Yeah, well, there's more focus now, but the numbers as a percentage still are tiny. And I think Linda brings up a good point. She says it's fear factor. Apply for Nats right now. Protect yourself. I couldn't agree more. I do think a lot of this is designed to create a deterrent effect, a chilling effect, so that people are not as eager to pursue these things. And don't just take it from two immigration lawyers here. Take it from a former immigration officer
and supervisor
who's on our Facebook Live tonight, who's saying apply for Nats rights, protect yourself unless you got caught for fraud. And yeah, I mean, if you have some fraud, then obviously that's not something that you want to pursue. And if you come and talk to us and we feel like it's not going to be a good idea for you to naturalize for some reason, then obviously we would let you know that.
Yep.
But for the overwhelming majority, I think this is not really a concern because most people don't commit fraud when they, pursue naturalization. So as long as you're in that category, you have absolutely nothing to worry about.
Yeah. And then, I kind of think, I think about some of these things that might come up, like, oh my gosh, I actually didn't put down that I got a speeding ticket. Is that going to be a problem? Is that committing fraud? It's not a material misrepresentation on the naturalization. It is a you're not a person of good moral character if you lie on your naturalization application. So, if that were the case and they were like, listen, you lied on your naturalization. I can't see this happening, but you lied on your naturalization application. You should have listed that speeding ticket and you didn't. You said you didn't have any infractions, right? There's a question on the application. In that case, they would basically just revert to back to permanent residency, right? Because the fact that you didn't list is not, it's obviously not a crime. Like you're not trying to do it to go on a ship and get the blueprints for a ship,
right?
But I just don't see that kind of thing happening.
Yeah, for denaturalization on this basis, the individual has to have misrepresented or concealed some fact. The misrepresentation or concealment was willful. The misrepresentation or concealed fact or facts were material, and the individual procured citizenship as a result of the misrepresentation or concealment, and otherwise, had the officer known about this fact, would not have given them citizenship.
Yeah. So the speeding ticket is bad example.
Yeah, I think with a speeding ticket, you would still be okay. It would just tell you that was a mistake. Come back later. And as Linda's mentioning here, they're not looking for innocent people. Hopefully that's hopefully that's true. I will tell you that there's a 10-year statute of limitations for the criminal part. None of you are going to be too concerned about that, but there is no statute of limitations for civil denaturalization. So even if it's something you did a long time ago, it's still fair game.
Yeah, somebody who did it to get the blueprints on a naval ship. They are not listening to our live tonight.
No, that's what I mean. That's just. I mean, that was just one example, but
it's a good example. I mean, there's ships everywhere.
Right. So anyway, we bring all this up, I think, primarily because we want everyone to understand that.
Take it down.
We're not downplaying it. It's absolutely a thing that is possible. I mean, denaturalization can occur, but it's extremely rare and it's in very unique circumstances. And all of you joining us here, these situations are not your situations. You all are just, trying to go about it, do the right thing. And I know that, you'll be okay. And that's why I want you to just, in 2026, take a deep breath, stop losing sleep over fear that you're going to be denaturalized if you are naturalized. And if you've been considering naturalization, instead of, being very freaked out about the prospect, just call us and we'll talk to you about all the options. We'll walk you through it, and then we'll make an informed decision with your help and you with our help about whether it's the right route for you or not. And if it's not, we won't pursue it, period.
Yep.
It's not hard. Okay.
All right. Yeah, Linda, you're cracking me up here. I don't know about all that. All right. Let's grab the first question. Shall we?
Okay.
We've got a couple of them. I think I saw the first question, but you want to scroll and see?
The first, right here.
No, that's not it.
No. Did we miss the very first
Yeah.
one?
Yep.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I think the question was about people getting arrested at their adjustment of status interviews, or maybe that was after. Okay, sorry, my bad. All right, we'll grab that in a second.
Well, we can grab it if you want. And somebody was asking specifically, they are not about the specific question was about SIJS.
Okay, we can.
So if you want to take that one.
So this
can
one.
Can you explain public charge? Nope, that's not it.
No, well, there's one above that. There's one above
that.
that.
But you wanted the one about getting.
No. It's okay. Let's take it in the order that it was received.
Okay. Order that was received was my husband was denied a bond yesterday. What can I do?
Husband was denied a bond yesterday. So was that before an immigration judge? No. So if ICE denied bond, there's a potential that you can ask for a bond redetermination from an immigration judge. And you would have to talk to a specialist if an immigration judge denied the bond. I mean, we don't do removal work. We don't do bond work anymore. Whether a habeas would be an appropriate route. So I'm sorry that happened, but please don't stop trying to get answers and to get help with regard to what can be done. We can't answer that here just because we don't do that type of immigration work.
Right. And Khadijah here says, Happy New Year 2026. Love you. Thank you, Khadijah. Love you too. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Jefferson wants to know, can you explain the public charge when filing the I-45 and how to avoid it?
So when you're filing the I-45, you can't avoid the public charge. I mean, I think maybe the answer is how to avoid getting your case denied because you might be a public charge. So you really, I mean, right now it's the affidavit of support. It's the I-864, and that's what it has been. There was an additional affidavit of support that was way more intense, that asked a lot of information. This was in 2020 and 2019 during Trump's first administration, but we don't have that. That's not here yet. So one thing about the public charge rule is that your petitioner, of course, needs to complete the affidavit of support. Now, the petitioner who, let's just say it's going to be your spouse, the petitioner has to meet a threshold level of income. And if the petitioner does not meet that threshold level of income, then you can still have a joint sponsor. So there is a lot of talk right now about public charge and if your spouse is the petitioner, and if your spouse went on any type of means tested government, your U.S. citizen spouse and your U.S. citizen children, if they went on any type of means tested government benefits, is that going to negatively impact your green card case? And there's a lot of talk that, yes, it could. We're going to scrutinize it more. But the form is what the form is. The form is still the affidavit of support. And until that changes, that is what the immigration officers are going to be looking at. And the U.S. citizen spouse and children, U.S. citizen children, they're not the ones who are applying for a green card. So if they've used public benefits, then that's on them, right? They're the U.S. citizens and they are eligible to receive those. So if there is that type of activity, and even though your spouse meets that threshold level of income, maybe have a joint sponsor anyway, right? I don't know if that's going to be necessary, but that could be something that we start doing if it's looking like immigration officers are looking at these other factors and taking that into consideration at the interviews. So
okay, good answer. Before we move on, and Khadijah said that's comforting. I'm assuming she's talking about the denaturalization. I was talking about the situations that most people are asking about, things like the misrepresentation and fraud. I should mention that there is another basis to be denaturalized, but it's far more obscure, and that is if in the 10 years prior to filing for naturalization or in the 5 years immediately after receiving naturalization, you are a member of or affiliated with the Communist Party, a designated terrorist group, or another designated totalitarian group. If that's the case, then you could also be eligible for denaturalization. Again, that's also a very rare situation.
Yes, right. John did a deep dive for us, as we mentioned, a deep dive into denaturalization.
Oh, well, everybody's been asking about it, so I just want to make sure that we get it all out there. So.
One of us had to do it, and John did it. Yay! John's way better at explaining, I think, things than I am.
That's definitely not true.
Okay. Yeah, here's the question.
Yeah. Is it true that visa overstays are getting arrested at their interviews?
And what to do about it, I think, is the follow-up. Yeah. Maybe that's not a follow-up question. Unfortunately, yes. In different jurisdictions, San Diego's one that comes to mind. And I think it's also happened in Baltimore, if I'm remembering correctly. There are attorneys and clients, who have reported that, yes, this is actually happening. Yeah. So the scenario is you enter the United States on a tourist visa. Let's say you overstayed. You overstayed by 3 years. You didn't leave for whatever reason. Okay. And during that time, you met a person and fell in love and got married, and that this person is a U.S. citizen. You have a child together, and now that you're married to your U.S. citizen spouse, your U.S. citizen spouse can petition for you, and you can go through the process called adjustment of status, even if you are out of status in the United States, and remain in the United States in order to get your lawful permanent residency, your green card. All right. So that's the scenario. That's the scenario that this is happening. So you go to your immigrant, you file everything, you pay the $3,005, you file everything. You get your receipt notices, you go and get your biometrics done. USCIS sends you your work authorization card. They send you advanced parole, so you're able to travel back to your home country while this process is pending. And then the very last step is you get an interview notice and you attend that interview. So that is the question here. Are people getting arrested at their adjustment of status interviews? Yes, they are. And this is a complete 180, right? From anything that I've ever experienced and that we've ever experienced as a law firm. I have never had a person who has overstayed arrested at their interview because they have overstayed. We've always told our clients, once you file your green card application, you are in a period of stay authorized by the Department of Homeland Security. And so you've got that green card application pending, and people have gotten arrested at their interview. So what do you do about this? Number one, you have to go in with eyes wide open, right? You have to go in knowing, if you're in one of these jurisdictions, that this is something that can potentially happen to you. So one, make sure that you have your affairs in order. Like whatever you have to do, if you know that you are going to be detained, that you have bond. If you're going to be offered a bond, right? That you have your bond ready and ready to go, that you have your attorney who's ready to help you and post that bond. So most of these people, unless there's some sort of a criminal record aspect to it, are getting released on bond, and then they're getting referred to the immigration court, and they're ultimately going to get their green card. So it's a complete and absolute waste of resources, but it is happening in some different pockets. So number one, know that this is something that can happen. And number two, be completely prepared. And this is where, guys, look, we've been on Facebook Live. We took a little bit of a break, but we've been on Facebook Live since 2020. And the Facebook Live and this information that we're giving to you guys, and on TikTok as well, it's not for you to just be like, oh, that's really good information. Let me go and continue on my day and go ahead and file my immigration case, right? that this is for you to say, dang, I really should get an immigration lawyer. It could be Radlin and John. It could be somebody in my backyard. It could be someone who's reputable, that you've done the research, that someone that you want to work with and happily part with your dollars so that they can represent you. I promise you, any good immigration attorney is going to give you 10 times the value of what you're going to pay them in legal fees. I promise. And especially now, guys, why are you even thinking about filing your cases on your own? Why? It's just, it's just silly. It's not silly. It's reckless. It's reckless. Cool. So yes, you can be arrested at your adjustment of status interview. Be prepared. Have an attorney.
Yeah, and if I could just bounce off that for a minute, this is maybe one person, but just as a general rule, with things the way they are right now, I think it's we've been advising a lot of people in our community to have a power of attorney and some type of a standby guardianship if you have children. It may be called something different in your jurisdiction, but every jurisdiction has some version of this where you can essentially have a document that will only be triggered and come into effect if you're detained by immigration. But if you are detained by immigration, then you can give somebody else power of attorney to take care of things like your banking, your bills, and the guardianship. They'll be able to immediately take over watching your children, and you want to make sure that they have all the things that they need, like the names of doctors, the names of the medication, all this sort of thing. I just think it's a good idea. It's a good planning thing. It's probably not a bad idea, honestly, for all parents to have somebody that's already ready. But if you are in immigration and limbo right now, and you're really not sure what's going to be happening in the future, I think it's worth your time and money to have these documents prepared. We do it for our clients and other people in our community, so that if something does happen, at least you know that while you're detained, the rest of your life is going on normally. All right.
Right. And the people that you love are being taken care of, for sure. But yeah, Linda's right. I really need an appointment with John and Radlin. Absolutely. That is the bottom line. All right. Next question. Oh, can you pass me that water, please?
Yeah.
John's hogging the water.
So
we really should have
here.
2 cups.
Guys,
we are Radlin. I am Radlin Mendoza. This is my husband and love partner, John Gardner, which is why we drink out of the same cup. Some of you guys are like, that's weird. Why are they drinking out of the same cup?
We're married. So
we're married. This is our home office. This is where we work. It's on the 3rd floor of our home. And we're so happy to be here. Happy New Year.
Yep. We've got, artwork. We got our calendar up there on the window. So we've got those things from the Philippines that all lawyers have.
All Filipino lawyers, or any lawyer loved by Filipinos, they have that. This one right here, this tan one that has my name on it, my parents got that for me in 1998, and it's actually been through a fire.
Yeah.
It's burned on, it's on the top. So there it is. The Filipino lawyer plaque name.
Okay.
Plaque.
Here's a question. You may know more about this than I do. Waiting on the 221G result. What should I do while waiting? Is mandamus advisable?
It really just depends. I mean, we would have to take a look at the circumstances. What should you do while waiting? I mean, there's really nothing that you can do. Well, I mean, if you're a person that wants to to do something, right? Showing ties to your country, strong ties to your country. And again, it also depends on the different visa types, and ultimately, if that is what they say, what are you going to do afterwards? So, and whether you do a mandamus or not, that's really very fact dependent. Like, how long has it been? Have you reached out through any type of liaison, congressional? Those are the questions that I would ask.
Okay. And this is a great comment here.
Yeah, guys, we are really, really fortunate to have our friend and former USCIS immigration officer and supervisor here on our Facebook comments. And her comment here is, let me put it on the screen. Sit down and talk to an immigration lawyer. It's the best money you can spend. The only reason I'm saying that is because so many people come before immigration, and that I'm prepared to answer questions. And if they have representation, it works out so much better for them. So I don't want to call Linda Carter the horse's mouth, but I mean, it's not literal. You are hearing it from the horse's mouth.
Well, I mean, we've been going to
Thank you,
immigration
Linda.
office for years, and that's coming from the person who is on the other side of the desk.
Other side of the desk.
Yeah.
Linda and I we worked together for probably 15 years. I brought clients, many, many clients, thousands of clients before Linda Carter, and she has approved. I don't remember any denial. I don't remember any denial.
Linda, you might remember some denials, but if you do, don't mention them.
No, well, I do remember. I do remember one, and basically it was an I-751. It was referred to the immigration judge because you guys didn't believe that it was a bona fide marriage and relationship. And maybe you were right, because my client then he voluntarily went back to the Philippines. So that's one that I can think of.
Okay, Cool Beans 21 here on TikTok wants to know, if my I-589 had a mistake after submission, can my lawyer fix the application before my interview?
Yes, your interview is, and Linda can back me up here, during your interview is open until throughout the interview, even while you're sitting in front of an immigration officer. So if a mistake is made on the application, and that sometimes happens, we're all human, and there are also updates that need to be made. We bring that up during the interview, and sometimes, depending on the situation, maybe even right in, but we typically handle it right then and there at the interview. Client gets sworn in, and then before anything happens, there are two options. Before anything happens, you can say, hey, look, we made a mistake on question whatever here. I just want to, before I forget, I want to make sure to correct it. This is the right answer. That's one way to do it. If you get to or the other way is you get to that particular question, and then your attorney says, like, we need to make an edit to that. So it's really not a big deal, so long as it gets addressed before the end of that interview. Yep.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Just a reminder that, we were talking about misrepresentation potentially leading to denaturalization down the road, and how rare that is. But, anytime you're with a USCIS immigration officer, you want to be honest. There's nothing worse that you can do than to lie. And they know, she just was mentioning that they know that she knows the truth from the truth. They know when people are embarrassed, they know when they're scared, and they have all the facts in front of them. So we always remind people that, if the officer is asking you if there's anything you want to add, and you're like, no, and they're like, did you get maybe a speeding ticket in Nevada in 2000 that you might be forgetting? And you're like, no, because you think, how would they know it? They know it. That's why they're asking you. They're literally giving you the opportunity to make the update and make the correction right there in real time. So just do it, because it's not going to cause a problem for your case anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Linda's okay.
Yeah, I do remember that. I'm not going to read that question, but Linda's going down memory lane
Linda's
here
going down
on the
memory
Facebook.
lane.
It's pretty funny. I will share an experience with Linda. My client was lying, right? He was lying about something that was not going to negatively impact his case. It was a misdemeanor theft, shoplifting, or whatever. The client was lying, and Linda knew he was lying. And I'm just very young, new attorney back in the day, right? And I'm just like, he says no, and then I look over at my client and he's shredding a piece of paper. His hands are down on the table and I see him and he is shredding a piece of paper into tiny little tiny pieces. And I'm just like, oh, this guy is not telling the truth. So we actually did finally get him to admit that, yes, he had a shoplifting charge or conviction. Not a material misrepresentation for the case, but it sure does piss the officer off that you are lying to them, and we're gonna have to do more work for it. Like, tell me why this is not a material misrepresentation. Right. You can put me through the ringer because my client sat there and lied, and he's gonna have to pay extra for that because we're gonna have to now prove to the immigration officer why it was not a material misrepresentation. Yeah.
Yeah, Linda says the best here. It won't matter until you lie about it. That is
that's true. A lot of people will lie about things that are completely irrelevant. Just, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question here. I don't know if you know the answer to that.
I don't
specific.
know.
That's yeah.
So Willie says, how long is the appointment for an interview at the Honduran embassy taking I-130? The I-130 is a multiple step process. So if you're filing an I-130, Willie, or you filed an I-130 and it's been pending, so that's going to take 17 months. And then it's going to take 60 days once it's approved for USCIS to transfer that over to the National Visa Center. And the National Visa Center is probably going to take another 3 months. And then this is the $1 million question. How long is it taking for an interview in Honduras? And how long is your case going to really kind of sit at that NVC stage where it's showing that it's documentarily qualified, but it's not moving? We would have to check processing times on that. But just so everybody knows, the interview is the very last part. Scheduling the interview and getting on that schedule also takes some time. I mean, it can take 8 months. It can take a year. It just depends on the backlog and really the backlog and how quickly you can get on that schedule. Even when your I-130 is approved, National Visa Center says they have all of the documents in order for you to move on to that interview. It's about getting on the schedule, and we would have to look that up in order for me to give you a good answer, Willie. So.
Okay, let's see here. We had a comment from Tommy Mack who said, "Enough is enough, America first." I don't normally address these kind of comments.
Yeah, America first.
But
absolutely.
I understand that there are a fair number of people in the country right now that have that feeling, and I just want to remind Tommy Mack, if you're still there, what we're doing here is, we're immigration lawyers. We are guiding our clients through the legal process of immigration law in the United States. So, I don't know why you would have a problem with that. Maybe you don't, but I just want to remind you that what we're doing here is legal. We are going through the immigration laws of the United States, and we are guiding our clients to get the things that they want, whether it's a visa or a green card or to become U.S. citizens. There is a legal process that can be followed for all of those things, and we help people do those things every single day, and we're very proud of it. Okay.
I think he's saying, like, enough is enough with those immigration policies. America first. Like, yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
Okay.
Enough is enough. Like, come on. Stop arresting people at their adjustment of status interviews. Enough is enough. America first. Let these people get their green cards. Let them become U.S. citizens. America first.
I like that spin. That's great.
I don't think I'm spinning it. I think that's what he meant.
Okay. Unknown. Can I be outside the U.S. for 4 months as a resident?
Unknown. Can I be outside the United States for 4 months as a resident? Now, I don't like to talk about being outside the United States, travel questions, but I will just say this generally. If you are a lawful permanent resident, you should not be outside of the United States for more than 180 days. If you are and you come back in, they may state that you are coming in not as a permanent resident, and question you about whether you have abandoned your permanent residency. So I will answer that.
Okay.
Because I don't know what other types of travel you've done. Unknown. I don't. Like, were you out 18 months prior to going out for the 4 months?
The question here, what about people with pending cases with SIJS? Are they going to be hauled out by ICE?
SIJS is for right now. I don't want to say safe, man. But I think that the heat has been taken off of SIJS cases and they are moving forward.
Yeah, and I certainly hope not.
John had an SIJS case today.
I was in the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court this morning, helping a young 13-year-old. And so I can tell you that they're really, some of them are really gut-wrenching, hard stories to hear. And the one glimmer of hope is their possibility to pursue SIJS. And so it's really, really rewarding for me to do those cases. I was in court today and was successful with one, and I'm really happy about that. At least the front part of it. The whole case is not over yet, but the very first step is done. So
I don't want to jinx you or anything, but not that this. Okay, I won't jinx John. I won't jinx John in this perfect.
We won't say it
record.
directly. You all know what a batting average of 1,000 is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you answer the SIJS question? Yep, we just did. Why is my H-4 visa revoked?
I don't know. Don't know. Did you do something? I've seen this where if a person, let's say the person gets a reckless a hit and run, for example. I've seen visas get revoked without any. I mean, it's even a charge. I've seen that happen before. So that's one question I have. Is the H-1B, primary still an H-1B in H-1B status? I mean, there could be a lot of reasons for that. Not a lot, but a few.
Yeah, one thing about SIJS that is potentially fluid is the legal status requirements for the person in the U.S. who is taking custody of the person. There's some debate about that. I personally don't think it should matter because these cases really come down to what's in the best interest of the child. And I have yet to see a case where I or any judge in my jurisdiction felt like it was in the best interest of the child for them to go back to the country they came from where they didn't have a parent or relative to take care of them. So it's always preferable for them to stay here if you're just looking at it in what's in their best interest. And clearly it's in the best interest for them to be in the US with the relative who's taking custody of them here. All right. Alana wants to know, is there any risk if you're a green card holder going back to your home country for a vacation? So here's our first travel question.
First travel question of the night.
First travel question of the night.
I think that, so the person underneath that, is it true they're taking away people's naturalization citizenship? Who is that?
Lydiern.
Okay.
Lydiern.
I would recommend that you go watch the replay of this on our our Facebook at Gardner Mendoza Law, at Gardner Mendoza Law. If you go to our Facebook, or you can just search Gardner and Mendoza. John spoke about it at length. If you didn't catch all that, so
yeah, come back to the beginning of our Facebook and you'll see we talked about that Ladera, excuse me, quite a bit. And you can, and if you still have questions about it and you want to schedule an appointment with our office, and that goes for everyone, you can call us. Our phone number is 757-464-9224.
yes. And if you haven't already, like and follow us so you can make sure to always watch us on Wednesday nights.
Okay, let's get back to Alana's travel question. So she's a green card holder, right?
Yep.
And she wants to go back to her home country for a vacation. And she's worried. She's thinking, oof, I don't know. Is it risky for me to do that?
Yeah. I mean, valid. I mean, where are you from? First of all, if I were from one of the banned countries, I don't think that I would do that at the moment, even though there are exceptions. I just wouldn't do it. So let's talk about everyone else. Let's say you're from the Philippines and what?
That's always your
John thinks I'm biased.
No. It's
I'm
great.
Filipino. My parents are from the Philippines. It's the first thing that comes to mind.
I'm clearly biased as well. We are married.
Let's say you're from Mexico or the Philippines or Brazil or Ghana.
Let's just
say Philippines. Yeah. It just kind of comes off the tongue a little bit easier. All right. So let's say you're from the Philippines, you're a lawful permanent resident and you want to go back home to visit for a month, right? And you're green card holder. Is it safe for you to travel? Now, we always tell people here when we're answering this question is that you have to ask yourself some questions, kind of just do a quick inventory, and it shouldn't take longer than 5 minutes, right? Number one, do you have any arrest charges or convictions? If you do, then you need to pause right there. And I would recommend that if you have any convictions or charges or arrests, that you get a certified disposition. You go to the clerk's office and you carry that certified disposition with you. And of course, if it's something like, larceny, if it's something like anything that deals with fraud, if it's anything, you actually should talk to an immigration lawyer with regard to, should I travel with this criminal conviction? Because you may have been able to travel and come back in with that particular criminal conviction previously, but you really should not take the chance now, because if you've seen any of the news reports and the social media out there, it's always the same. They've traveled back and forth so many times, and this conviction from 1985 came up, and now they're being detained, right? So it doesn't matter how old the conviction is. It does matter what type of conviction it is. And so you ask yourself that question. If you don't have anything, if you've never been arrested, charged or anything, then you're green to go on that, right?
Yeah, and be careful, because there are charges that won't make you removable, but they will make you inadmissible when you're coming back into the U.S. And I can tell you that, Radlin mentioned things like larceny, domestic assault and battery, marijuana. These are charges that are really dicey, because you might even think you got the charge dismissed. In your head, you might think it was dismissed, but maybe you actually did like a drug counseling class or an anger management class and then went back. And that's a situation where the court did find the facts were sufficient for a finding of guilt, but deferred it so that you could do these other things and have it dismissed. So in your mind, you're like, oh, well, that wasn't a conviction because I went back and it was dismissed. Not for immigration purposes. It was not dismissed. So you need to be careful with that.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so that's one.
That's one.
And I said that it was going to take 5 minutes for the whole thing, but this is a very important one. That is a very, very, very important one. And I'd like to tell the story, and I have permission from the client who reached out to me to tell the story. But one of our former clients, she texted me frantically and said, my daughter is being detained at the airport, at Dulles. She went back to her country and was coming back in as a lawful permanent resident. I was like, well, just let me know how it goes. This was in February of 2025. And 4 hours later or so, she's like, she's still being questioned. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, maybe they're really busy. She calls me later on that evening. She's like, they're detaining her. And I quickly find out, and after speaking to her, that her daughter has a conviction of theft, and it was resolved, and it was petty theft. She didn't get any suspended or active jail time. She had a fine to pay. And this is popping up on CBP's computer that this is a misdemeanor conviction. But guess what? She didn't pay the fine. Right? She neglected to pay the fine. We paid the fine for her. They did release her that evening, but she got an NTA issued, right? She had to appear in immigration court. She had to go through this whole thing. She had to do ICE check-ins. So for the person who asked the question, I'm not saying that you shouldn't travel. You probably don't have this circumstance, but there are people out there who might, right? You think this misdemeanor theft that happened so long ago is all done. Get a certified disposition, make sure everything's fine. All right, that John mentioned marijuana convictions, and marijuana is decriminalized in many states, but it is still illegal under federal law. I believe it's been knocked down to a class, not class 1. It was class 1, right? And it's class something now, class 2. Maybe it's. Is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading your comment here. My bad. Yeah, it moved down the schedule narcotic.
Yeah. Okay. Moved down. Drop. So for those marijuana users out there who have marijuana tickets and this and that, you have to really be careful. You can be inadmissible for marijuana possession. That's number 2. The third thing is, have you been outside of the United States? Have you ever abandoned your green card? Have you been outside of the United States for over a year? And, you're now coming back in, or you're making a travel, but you're coming back in. But let's say 3 years ago, you were out for a year and a half and they didn't catch it. So this is something that you need to also think about. And then, of course, fraud, if you've ever committed any type of fraud. Now, I've spoken with immigration folks, the people on the other side of the desk, right? I've spoken with immigration lawyers. If you committed fraud in getting your green card and you're traveling, what are the chances of CBP knowing anything about that fraud? I don't know. It's still very, very risky to me if you committed any type of fraud to get your green card. So those are the things that I would take a look at. Mm-hmm. If the person who asked the question, if none of these things apply to you, then you are probably okay to travel.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that the agencies don't always know about what the other one is doing. CBPs, they're independent. They may not, USCIS can't control what they do.
Yeah.
It's a wild card for sure. Our Linda has weighed in here and said, "Don't do it, girl."
What, travel?
That's her answer. The gut question that I've been adding to this as well. We ask people like, what are you traveling for? I mean, that's a question too. How important is it? I mean, are you going to your country because you just want to go for fun, or do you have a family member who's, on their deathbed? I mean, this is something you need to consider, because if it's really just a recreational thing, maybe you wait.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that answer. Like we should be permanent residents should be able to travel back and forth and not have to. Oh, sorry, we forgot one. Protesting. Protesting. Good point. Social media. Your social media is maybe very heavily vetted. What's on your social media? So yeah, maybe you shouldn't go. Depending on what's on your social media. And we do ask this question of our clients now, what does your social media look like?
Yeah, or if you really do want to go, this is a situation where it'd be worth it for you to consult with an attorney to make sure that you don't have any of these hidden traps, that there's not some thing that you don't know about that is going to come up when you're re-entering the country. And then all of a sudden you're stuck. Because remember, once you leave, you're coming back in. And when you're coming back in, it's like being outside the house. You're knocking on the door and you're asking to come back in. And if you don't get back in, then you're not back in. That's it. You turn around, you get on the plane and head back.
Or get referred to an immigration judge and detained in the meantime.
Yeah, or even worse, get put into detention. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Linda says that USCIS is kindest over all of the other agencies.
Yeah, of course.
Benefits. But Linda, have you looked at your former agency's Facebook page lately? I don't know about that.
Okay, Togs here. I want to get this in. Tog said, "Thank you, Attorney Mendoza, for helping my dad. He's legally working now here in Virginia."
Yay!
All right.
That's what I like to hear. That is fantastic.
Ada wants to know real quick. I know we're out of time here. I know this sounds silly. Do pro bono lawyers, are they good? I'm kind of broke.
I mean, look, pro bono attorneys, they are very valuable to our community, and the services that they provide are very valuable. That said, I think they're extremely overwhelmed, and they might not have the capacity.
Yeah.
As much as they want to assist you, they might not have the capacity to do the job that they would otherwise do had they had more capacity. So, I don't know what kind of case that you have. I don't know if you're applying for U.S. citizenship. If that's the case, there are Citizenship Day. We're probably going to have one here pretty soon, where local immigration attorneys and officers like Linda Carter will come and help the community in completing the N-400 application. So if that's something that you're thinking about doing and you're broke, then keep your ears opened up for a Citizenship Day near you. It's usually held in September, but there are clinics that hold citizenship days. That's one thing. And I would kind of like to challenge you on being broke, right? Really evaluate that. And I'm not saying this to be, I'm sitting here and I'm a lawyer and, how dare I ask someone to evaluate being broke, right? I think that depending on the situation, you can't afford not to do the immigration case, right? You can't afford not to do it. And if that's the case, you need to tap into your resources, tap into your family, tap into your job. Can you get an advancement? Tap into, a home equity line of credit. Tap into selling something potentially. Tap into Facebook Marketplace. Sell all your crap and get the fees, right? For the immigration attorney, if this is what you need to do. And there are ways to, overcome that, I should say. And, many law firms offer a payment plan, and we offer payment plans. And so I wouldn't just say in your mind, like, I'm broke, I can't do this, right? Make a consultation with an immigration attorney and see what needs to be done and see how much it's going to cost and what that journey is going to look like. I mean, immigration cases can take a really long time. And so you might have the opportunity to pay in different stages. So don't just say I'm broke. I got to use it. I want to use a pro bono attorney, and they're totally fine. Just know that about the capacity issue. I would ask yourself these questions and really kind of tap into the person that you are, right? The person who you're here in the United States. You came from somewhere. If you're going through an immigration case, you came from another country. How did you get here? You used your will, your strength, your courage, your creator mode to be here in the United States, right? So I'm not going to give up on you with the words that you're using. And it's okay to use a pro bono attorney, but go ahead and get rid of the I'm kind of broke mindset, because I think that all of us can be creative, and I'm not saying money's falling out of trees, but I am saying that go to the people who know and who love you, go to your employment, sell something, withhold spending something, and get the most important thing in your life done. Like, this is the most important thing in your life right now. No one here can really afford to walk around being undocumented. I mean, you think you're broke now. Imagine being in detention, right? And not able to work and not able to support your family if that's what you're doing. So no one really can afford to not get your immigration case taken care of.
Yeah, Linda made this comment earlier. We didn't read it. She said, immigration is extremely complicated, and I recommend that you talk to an immigration lawyer before you go forward. And I'll echo what Radlin said. It's not impossible to find pro bono help that's good, but the good pro bono help is going to be overwhelmed with a lot of people that are helping. And so you're going to get very little time. Or if you get a pro bono attorney who's not overwhelmed, it's going to be somebody who doesn't know much about immigration. I mean, all of us did some legal aid work very early on in our careers, and I'm not bashing it. It's just that I remember when I first was practicing in my first year doing volunteer work, pro bono work for legal aid, I just didn't really know very much was the problem. And in immigration, getting bad advice can sometimes even be worse than having no advice. So I'd be super, super careful going down the pro bono route. As Radlin said, I would challenge you to find the money to hire somebody who really knows what they're doing. You are absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I totally agree with that. And to John's point, yes, as volunteers, we're brand new, right? We're not even sure, landlord tenant law. Okay, let me read up on landlord tenant. But there are, well, I was not, but, and there are some really wonderful clinics out there, who.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to discount it completely.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
There are resources out there. That is absolutely a fact. Okay.
All right.
We are way over time.
We are way over time.
Okay, gang. We will see you next Wednesday.
Wait. It might be a different day. Next Wednesday is my husband's birthday.
Yeah, and we can do.
He thinks he wants to do that. I mean, I want to go out to dinner, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it'll be on Tuesday, but we'll keep you posted. You guys, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful Wednesday back in 2026, and we are ready to rock and roll and continue for the rest of 2026 to share this information. Yeah. Please like and follow and share this to anyone you think it will be helpful.
Don't be scared, folks. Just get educated. All right. Let's arm ourselves with education so we all do the right thing here. Okay. All right, guys.
Take care.
Have a wonderful night, everyone. 2 thumbs up, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. See you soon.